Once upon a time. Welcome to Australian Book Lovers, your destination for imagination.
Australian Book Lovers acknowledges First Nations peoples and recognises their continuous connection to country, community and to culture. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and honour the sharing of traditional stories passed down through generations. We're committed to a safe and inclusive welcome for authors and readers of all cultures and backgrounds, including people of LGBTQIA+ communities and their families. Book lovers, welcome to episode 176 of the Australian Book Lovers podcast. And if you can see Laurie's face, she's going, oh my God, 176. Our mission is to bring fabulous Australian and Indigenous literature that spans a whole range of genres to book lovers around the globe, as well as fantastic resources and information for passionate authors looking to write their next bestseller. I'm Veronica Strachan, aka V.E. Patton, fantasy, sci-fi, memoir, picture book writer and voracious reader of many genres. Your founder and co-host, coming to you today from a very chilly Wurundjeri Woiwurrung country.
Yes, it has been raining here most of the day as well. I am Laurie Bell, science fiction and fantasy writer, flash fiction writer, reviewer, blogger, basically read anything that comes across and strikes my fancy. So I'm also coming to you today from Wurundjeri Woiwurrung country.
Beautiful.
Oh, so
and
good.
It is so cold, but, you know, we have on some of our fabulous merchandise. Did you know that Australian Book Lovers has hoodies? I was just showing Laurie the
Do you know, I didn't
hoodie.
know, and I'm so excited, and we've immediately gone on, and we've got hoodies.
We've got hoodies. So all of the beautiful little mascots that we have on our website for each of the genres, you can go in and get that mascot either on the front or the back. So it depends if you like zip hoodies, you probably want to put it on the back. I've like to put it on the back anyway. But yes, you can, and you can put the front or back, t-shirts, front or back, caps, you know, scarves, everything, so many bits and pieces, as well as tech stuff. You can get mouse pads, you can get book things. So all of those things my eldest helped me put onto our little Redbubble site. So if you do that, we get a little bit of the royalties, which is good to help you, help us, help you listen to more fabulous authors. And we have a treat for you this evening. We have the delightful Alexis Roberts. And you say, Alexis Roberts, who is that? In fact, that's Emma Gerts and Esme Stevenson. Together, they are Alexis Roberts. And if you want to know how they came up with Alexis Roberts, you have to listen to the podcast because it's quite a cute little way that they did.
Such a cute story. Oh, and they're a delight to listen to as well. I love people that clearly enjoy their books and their writing and their process.
Yes,
and they giggle a lot.
They do. They've been writing together since they were at high school and they started writing stories. So this is fantastic. They are, down the track now. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But Laurie, you've been busy with your book.
Oh my goodness. So yes, I received my edit letter back from my independent publisher in the US for my final of my Stones of Power series, which is very exciting.
It's very exciting.
And it was until I looked at the edit letter, which was a really good letter. It was great. They picked up on some fantastic things and lots of great things. And then there was one comment that I thought, I can get that in. I can get that in. Then I pulled a thread as I was editing and pulled another and another. And it has been process that I've been undergoing. So for the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I have been, to be fair, first 4 days I had to think about it and really think, how can I do it? Can I do it? What what could I change? What could I update? Is there a way to do it that would be successful? So it took me a little bit of thinking time. And then once I sat the butt down and started working on it, it's been 2 solid weeks of editing. I'm exhausted. It's fine. So another couple of weeks, well, hopefully about a week and a half, but we'll see how I go. But yeah, it's a process when the edit comes back from the publisher. So for all those that are in the trenches as well, I hear you. I feel you. I'm there too. And yes, it's going to be great. It's going to be amazing.
It will be brilliant. It will be brilliant. And, you know, I am in the process of the final stretches of beta reading book 2 of the Tony Dell adventures. So we'll just hold that one off, and I'm not gonna send that one back to you till you tell me that you send those edits off, and you have maybe a week or two off.
Always the way. Yep. Because that's what happens. I sent it off, and then in comes the next one. Oh, I wanted a week off. But it's all good. It's what we do.
It is what we do, and it's really interesting. And we've got a lovely chat with Esme and Emma coming up. But before that, we probably need to look at some news. I've got a couple of sort of groupy things to share with you tonight. So the first one was one that I saw on the ABC, which is it's titled "From Book Doof to Bedazzling. Social reading is all the rage." So this is a guy called Grant Krupp, Krupp, picked up a book that was lying around with a not safe for work title, and then but that it kind of sparked an idea that it'd be great if he had a party with all his friends and absolutely nobody talked. And that was the whole experience. And everybody had a book. And so he thought, reading parties is the go. And he'd read an article in the New York Times about reading in New York City. So that's how Book Doof was born. Social events where people turn up with a book and read with carefully selected ambient music and sometimes live DJs playing in the background. They held the first one in Melbourne in October 2025. A recent one attracted 300 people.
Wow.
But according to Krupp, it may well have been 500 because they routinely sell out. So when you enter, it's generally quiet. If it's in a bar, it's kind of surreal. People are sitting around reading a book instead of, talking as they normally would. It would be okay to journal, paint or mark exam papers, in the future. Wow. But the majority of people you see will always be reading. So there you go. So that is fantastic.
Amazing.
That's
good. Love that. That's such a great idea. Who wouldn't want to go out and just read?
Exactly.
I would totally
and you wouldn't feel rude, doing that. Like when we went away camping, if ever there was a spare minute, I had my head in a book, and 2 of the party were readers, 2 of the party were not readers. And so the 2 not readers would go, "Are you reading again?" Yes, I am.
Yes, it's great. It's an ongoing thing. There will be more reading tomorrow.
It will be. And if I'm doing something around the house, I've got the audiobook on, I've got it in my ears if I'm walking, all those kind of things. Anyway, here's the other bit of the bedazzling. So Scarlett Hopper is the owner of Sydney's first romance bookstore, called Romancing the Novel. It's been open since September 24 and is expanding to Brisbane in mid-August. So this is in Paddington, and she's welcomed celebrities and collaborated with movie studios on events linked to adaptation. But one of her most popular events involves decorating its titles, what it calls book bedazzling. Yes, when you get together, again, routinely sell out. So, and there's a photo on the website. You have a look, and people bring their favourite book, and they've got sparkly bits, which they will never get out of their clothes. Let me tell you, because my son's partner, we do rhinestoning. There's often a rhinestone here, there, and everywhere. And they come up in the most odd places. So yeah, if you want to bedazzle your book, you need to look up what's it called? Romancing the Novel. If you're in Sydney, and look out in Brisbane, Vegas, where we have some bedazzling up there mid-August. So good on you, Scarlett Hopper. So there's a couple of things there.
Interesting and unusual activities with books.
Indeed. And I've got one more group that I wanted to share with you. And this came about from one of our giveaway entrants, somebody on our newsletter subscriber list who sent in a note saying she'd really like to have a look at this. You know, she'd love to win this book because she and her book club were doing. They were focusing on love this month, and the particular one was right. Anyway, they said, "Oh, tell me about your book club," and in fact, it's the Ascolta Women Inc. Now, Ascolta means listen in Italian,
Oh, wow.
which is beautiful. So then I said, "Oh, tell me more," and we'll give them a shout out on the news. So I'm going to read the little thing about Ascolta. So they're a creative collection of multi-generation Italian-Australian women across Australia, Canada, and the UK. They started 7 years ago from a forum that a woman called Teresa Capitola initiated based on her PhD research on the lived experiences of post-World War II second-generation Italian-Australian middle-aged women. So they're an unfunded not-for-profit group amplifying diasporic Italian-Australian women's voices. They come together online bi-weekly to write and share their work in a supportive and creative workshop. The writings, poems, fiction, reflection, narratives, as well as artwork and photos culminate in an annual themed publication launched each International Women's Day. They reflect, critique and celebrate their migration legacies and Italian heritages, as well as comment on social justice and equity issues, especially relating to migrant women. They've got over 70 members who engage with community activities, academic dialogue and creative pursuits. They welcome folk who identify as women, inclusive of trans and non-binary, and have an Italian affiliation. So their anthologies are, of course, available for purchase, and you can have a look and find more about Ascolta, so www.ascoltawomen.com. So that was from Teresa Capitola, courtesy of Lella, who applied and won a book on the newsletter. So that was lovely. So that's there's groups of people doing bookily stuff.
Yes.
There's reading parties, there's bedazzling parties, there's a diasporic Italian-Australian middle-aged women meeting. I'm sure there's more than middle-aged women. They're all meeting. So lots of bits and pieces. So that's my news.
So good to hear people enjoying their books and enjoying their reading and making it a social activity, which is fascinating because, of course, as we know, reading a book tends to be very solitary. Certainly writing a book is very solitary, but reading a book does tend to be a bit solitary. So groups, that's a brilliant way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's lovely.
Well, I've got some more depressing news, so I'm glad you went first.
So, okay.
Have you heard this story that's come out in the last 2 weeks in relation to AI buying up books, both older and in some cases rare books, purchasing them in bulk and then chopping off the spines, scanning them into their system and destroying the books? Yeah. So this has exploded online, and obviously the author community and the reading community is just absolutely up in arms, in uproar, because it is just a horrendous thought for one thing, just to be destroying books. It's just horrendous. But to be buying up potentially rare and unique printed books, destroying them so that no one else can ever read them, get their hands on them, ever read them because they've been destroyed, and loading them into these learning models where you won't be able to suck out that particular book in its entirety. Instead, it's been loaded in, basically completely mashed and destroyed in with the rest of the AI. It's just absolutely terrible. So I did want to actually give a little bit of information as to how they've gotten away with it, but also what it actually does mean. So basically, going off, and I've been reading quite a few articles in relation to this, but futurism.com came up. They actually were part of the group that announced the story. But basically, one of the book companies, one of the booksellers who work as a group who track down books for other purchasers, were purchasing these books, telling their buyers that they would remain completely anonymous, so no one would know what they were doing. It was given a project code name, even. You're coming down to all these spy thriller behaviors. Which shows they know it was wrong. But
Yeah.
putting that aside,
Yeah.
because you don't try and hide it if you think it's perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
But then what they would do, yes, is it's a legal concept known as first sale doctrine, which basically allows a buyer to do what they want with a purchase without the original copyright holders say so. So I go out, go buy a book at the bookshop. I can do what I like with the book to a degree. Obviously not copying it down and selling it as my own, but that's the legal concept is first sale doctrine. So
Mm-hmm.
they were seen as because they were turning the original physical texts into digital ones, but were not redistributing them as new copies. The judge found it to be transformative and therefore protected by fair use. So it was reported, yeah, I know. It was reported that basically one of these databases that were they'd actually put up on their website that they were the world's best AI training data is sitting on a shelf and ready to be bought, and we're purchasing between 1,000 and 1,000,000 copies from booksellers and from anyone who's got 1,000 books to sell, I guess. And they were literally just slicing off the spines with a big machine that was designed specifically to do this. So these are all things that they've done very specifically. They've kept it all under wraps. They wanted to be anonymous. Um, and it was reported then that AI company destroys 2 million books was the headline that came out, which has really brought awareness to the story. So it's absolutely terrible because for all we know, there are several either short sale books or maybe with limited press runs, all sorts of things that maybe do not exist anymore and no one can actually read them. And the justification for it, so basically it was all books that have ISBNs and the company was potentially destroying very few remaining copies of lots of books. They were done because in language model AI scenarios, books that are older, so your more rare type of books, were published at a time before they could be created with AI slop. So they are seen as clean books that can be pulled in that have been reviewed, sense checked, reviewed again, had publishing, had editing, had all the usual bits and pieces that go with any book that was published prior to the AI boom coming through, helping writers write books. So they're pulling all these old books because they're seen as good evidence, good books to use, which is even more irritating more than anything else because that's terrible. So they actually described it as physical books published before this date, so prior to 2022, are structurally clean of modern poisoning tools, is how they describe it. And they're structurally guaranteed to be free of contamination.
Gosh.
Yeah. So it's horrendous, and quite a few booksellers have been reporting that they've been receiving orders where they might sell one, two, or three books, or maybe less than 50 in a week. They're getting orders for hundreds and hundreds of books, and it's putting booksellers in a really difficult position because
Yeah.
they're saying financially it's great for business,
Yeah.
but ethically it's terrible.
Yeah.
So it's a story that came out, and then just as before we got online, I was just looking at the updates on social media, and there is actually an update. So the company who has been behind this particular story that went viral, the ones doing it, have put a message on their website to say, "Oh no, we were just doing it to offer the service and see what the uptake would be." So they've now removed the text from their website and they've basically said, oh, we train AI models and we never have. This page was a test of market interest. No such service was ever brought to life. Yeah. So I guess we'll see where this particular story goes in the future, but it's not a great thing for authors who published prior to 2022, where they may not have books out there available anymore because they're being eaten up by these companies for AI training. It's terrible. So
It is
anyway,
terrible.
just thought I'd mention the story. And if you want to read more on the story, futurism.com have got a really good breakdown of all the bits and pieces. But there's a lot of it's been picked up by the media all over the place. So have a read of the various stories and you'll see it pop up on social media as well. So always take everything with a grain of salt. But it's been an explosive story in the last couple of weeks. So I thought I would mention it.
Thank you, because I completely missed that. I've been doing other things.
You missed it. My goodness. One last thing I wanted to mention. So ASA, they have their Behind the Book Sales article that's come out this month. And their Behind the Book Sales is actually on sales and how publishers sell to booksellers. So it's a really good article. Jump in and have a read of it. And there is a little section there that talks about what some of the sales challenges in the Australian market are. Which was really interesting. So definitely jump on, read more about it. But basically the three factors are the country size, retailers' shifting needs, and a recent fundamental shift in the relationship between publishers and customers. So they talk about the fact that the marketing has moved from pushing sales to the booksellers, telling them you want this book, you want this book, to what's being called a pull market, which is basically driven by consumer demand. So if the consumers are calling up saying, I want more of these books, if they see sales going absolutely bonkers in the romantasy area, they're pulling more sales in those areas, purchasing more books in that. So it's not necessarily the sales marketers coming in going, hey, this is a new debut book, you should buy it. The booksellers are actually going off what the customers are driving for, which makes it hard to get out there as a newbie if you're not known, if you're writing in
not
a
great
unique
at social media.
if you're writing in a unique genre or something that's not particularly niche right now.
Yes.
Yeah, that can be a little bit tricky. So jump on and have a read of that article too, because it is very good. And it's my news for today.
Good news.
Well, some
Some
of it's
bad
good
news and some sad news.
Some of it's terrible.
But it's all about books and writing. So there you go.
Yeah.
And talking about books, it's time for some book spotlights. Starting with the delightful Scott Francis Sowter, Dogtooth, which is in the Aussie Tales and Humour page. So, and it has got a classic shark on the front. So, when seasoned fishermen Mick, Dan, and Travis Thompson discover the wreck of the luxury yacht Seraphine, they think they've stumbled upon a mystery and maybe a rescue. But as the survivors cling to life aboard the Thompsons' modest trawler, the Dogtooth, something stirs beneath the waves. A monstrous great white, ancient, relentless, and hungry, begins to circle. Now, miles from shore and running out of time, two families must battle the sea, the elements, and the most fearsome predator ever to live. The ocean has only one rule: only the strong survive. There you go. And we did actually see Scott at the book fair, and he sold out of this like on the first day. So it was a great one. So Scott's bio, he is in fact from Australia, born and raised in Western Sydney. He graduated from the Southern Cross University with a Bachelor of Media with honours in 2013. He's married with two sons and has always wanted to tell stories. He's directed a number of award-winning short films, and his debut novel was Criminal Cove, Home for Retired Supervillains, which was one of our giveaways a little while ago.
And I've chatted with Scott about that very book. You have. So he's a very, very funny, good chat.
Yeah,
is Scott.
So that's good. Scott has also just added a new book, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but this is called Weekly Rental. And it's a novel about life, love, music, and video stores. So again, another funny one for everyone who's ever wandered the aisles of a video store hoping to find the perfect movie. It's a reminder that the stories which change us most are rarely the ones on the screen. Stories which
Yep.
don't just most of the rarely. Yeah, so good on you. We'll read a bit more about that when it comes up in the list because I hate to say it, we've got about 180 books that we still have to share with you, and we try and share 6 or 7 in our longer episodes, but yeah,
Authors, we don't forget, we've
we
got them
don't
on the
forget.
list.
We're getting to
We will
them,
get
but
there.
yes, keep sending them in, and
Wow.
we will keep talking
We
about
might
them.
have to do a couple of shows of just book spots.
Well, maybe that's the go. Maybe we will have to do that. So that might be a good idea. Yeah, because we want to give everybody their couple of little minutes. But yeah, it does take some
And it's a
time.
great way to rec new books that you may not have heard of or heard
Yes,
about. So
yes.
I love our book spotlight. So speaking of, we've got our next book spotlight. So The Trials of Browid by Stephanie Bosshard, which is a fantasy. So they told her she was ordinary. They lied. Hidden deep in the forests of Maine, Selena Bell has spent her life keeping to the edges, quiet, invisible, unremarkable, or so she thought. But when 3 strangers arrive in her small town, everything changes. They don't just bring answers, they bring a warning. Selena isn't mortal. She is Semper, power in human skin, a force the world should have destroyed before it ever drew breath. Marked by magic older than the world itself, caught between the seductive chaos of the fallen and the brutal order of the blessed, Selena is thrown into a realm of vicious trials, monstrous enemies, and ancient courts that see her as a threat and a weapon to claim. And then there's him, charming, untamed, and infuriatingly irresistible. Her power is growing, her enemies are circling, and every step forward pulls her deeper into a fate she never chose and may not be able to escape. Because the one thing more dangerous than what's coming for her is what she's becoming. How good does that sound? Oof,
That sounds really good.
it really does. Stephanie Bosshard is a romantic fantasy author drawn to tales where power has a price and love is both fierce and complicated. With a background in acting, she brings depth and emotion to the characters she creates, particularly those who are battling fate, facing impossible choices, and discovering who they are in the process. When she's not writing, you can find her on set or lost in a book that stirs her soul. The Trials of Browid is her debut novel.
Which
Fantastic,
is
Stephanie.
lovely. And
Yeah.
we might be talking to Stephanie in a little bit. She's
Wee.
on our list and sneaking up towards the top slowly but surely. All right. Number 3 is Home for Christmas by Clare and McGrory. And this is a romance novella. So a nice quick read. A fresh, modern Brisbane satire on romantic and not so romantic relationships. A wistful observation on the demise of the big old Australian backyard, or just a young woman looking for love and to feel truly at home this Christmas. As Meg records her tough journey through the social battlefield that greets any single woman, she picks up a paintbrush and learns more about the world she thought she left behind. This year, she will be home for Christmas. So this is an Australian Christmas romance novella. And Claire's bio, she is in fact Dr. Clare Ann McGrory, and she's been writing professionally since 2022. She has a background in data science research and worked as a lecturer and researcher for over a decade. She writes for children too, under the pseudonym Dr. Clare.
Book spotlight is for number 4 is Ancient Odyssey, which is by Kyle Wright. Ancient Odyssey is a work of of grounded speculative fiction set at the onset of the Younger Dryas, a period marked by sudden climate change and civilizational upheaval. In Sumer, newly crowned Nin Anara inherits both a powerful kingdom and a deeply fractured family. When news arrives that her estranged sister is rallying Neanderthal clans beyond the frozen northern frontier, Inanna is forced into a perilous campaign to prevent a war that could shatter the fragile balance holding civilization together. Meanwhile, Ares, a scholar explorer from Atlantis, uncovers a buried temple and an artifact that defies the understanding of even the most learned scholars. When a royal assassination and a brazen theft thrust him into danger, Ares is drawn into a race to uncover the object's true nature. As these two storylines converge, the world itself begins to unravel. Oceans rise, ancient alliances fracture, and long dormant forces stir beneath the surface of the earth. Blending myth inspired world building with character driven storytelling, Ancient Odyssey explores themes of memory, power, loss, and meaning without presenting a historical thesis. So Kyle Wright is an Australian writer and educator whose work intertwines myth, deep time, and the riddle of lost civilizations. I love that kind of stuff. An avid student of ancient history, he has travelled to many of the sites that inspire his stories. He threads cultural philosophies and ideologies through his work, shaping myth with a historian's grounded perspective. He teaches media, English, and philosophy in Victoria. Ancient Odyssey is his debut novel. Got lots of debuts today.
Yes, and that's an interesting mix, isn't it? Media, English, and philosophy.
Ooh.
Book number 5 is Murder and Masquerade by Catherine McCullagh. Mystery, thriller, and alternative history. In 1946, as war-torn London recovers from German occupation, a clandestine group of resurgent Nazis plots a return to power. Pitted against them is former resistance leader Brendan O'Connor, who finds an unlikely ally in the SS general he was forced to work for during the occupation, a man he hates obsessively. The former general has negotiated his immunity from prosecution and is living under an assumed identity. Having foiled the coup, O'Connor and his former boss are dispatched to destroy the group's headquarters in British-occupied Germany. But they are double-crossed, and the former general is imprisoned and faces execution. His life is now in O'Connor's hands. Murder and Masquerade is an alternative history set in a society fractured by bitterness and threatened from within. The one man who can fight this new threat is himself deeply traumatised, forced to overcome his trauma to protect a fragile democracy. Let me tell you a little bit about Catherine McCullagh. She taught history, English and languages before turning to editing and then to writing. Her first published works were non-fiction, beginning with Willingly Into the Fray, a centenary history of the Australian Army nursing, followed by War Child, a ghost-written wartime memoir, and Unconquered, a co-authored tribute to the Sydney Invictus Games. Her first historical novel, Dancing with Deception, was published in 2017, Secrets and Showgirls in 2021, Love and Retribution in 2022, with Resistance and Revenge following in 2023, Power and Obsession in 2024. So a prolific producer of great stories. Good on you, Catherine. Thank you.
Book 6 is Crow by Rhonda McCoy, which is a contemporary. When gentleman farmer Harold Crow dies after routine surgery in rural Tasmania, his death exposes a web of forbidden love, secret offspring, and devastating betrayals that will tear two families apart. Local GP, Dr. David Boyd, fears his connection to Harold will surface at the inquest. His wife, Morven, hides her own hurtful truth, and the young folk, Nurse Nathan and his girlfriend Isla Boyd, her brother Lachlan, and a mystery newcomer become trapped in a dangerous plan that will threaten young love and sibling loyalties. Set in the stunning landscape of Tasmania's southern highlands, this blend of Australian family saga and medical intrigue brims with unexpected twists and turns, revealing Rhonda McCroy as a natural and cinematic storyteller. This is Rhonda's first book, so another debut. With her family, she moved from New South Wales to Tasmania, La Truita, in the 1980s, where she continued her nursing degree, moving into management and then leading aged care facilities and rural hospitals. When Rhonda retired 8 years ago, she started writing and hasn't stopped. She attended Fiona McIntosh's masterclass, and Fiona declared Rhonda as being the full package. Rhonda lives on the beautiful Tamar River in northern Tasmania with her husband, the King Charles Cavalier, and she has 3 adult children.
That's the story I want to hear, that she retires, she started writing, and she just hasn't stopped. Bring it on,
We all want to
Rhonda.
get there.
I am so close.
Yeah.
4 months, Laurie. Book 7, our final book spotlight for this episode, is The Sawmiller's Daughter by Sarah Smith, and this is an historical fiction. So Margaret Mag McClement grew up amid sawdust and the harsh rhythms of the Australian bush, struggling under a mother who saw her as a bad seed. In the remote eastern Dorrigo Plateau, the sawmill became both refuge and proving ground, where Mags learned resilience from her devoted father and under the watchful care of old Natty. As the Great Depression and the World War shaped her world, Mags transforms ambition into action, mastering the Canadian saw and dreaming of building her own timber enterprise. Along the way, she is confronted by bitter rivalries, devastating losses, and a family secret that threatens everything she has worked for. The Sawmiller's Daughter is a sweeping saga of grit, loyalty, and determination. It tells the story of a woman who carves out a place for herself in a man's world to build a lasting legacy in Australia's timber industry and ensures that her family and the mill would endure for generations to come. A little bit about Sarah. Sarah Smith grew up in New South Wales. She has always had a passion for reading and writing and completed an advanced creative writing course with distinction, which sparked her passion for novel writing. And The Sawmiller's Daughter is her debut novel. She hopes it will not be her last. So we have had a bucket load of debut novelists.
She's magnificent.
All different. So we've had historical, we've had contemporary, we've had mystery
Fantasy.
and thriller, fantasy. Yeah, lovely. Ancient
It's
Odyssey, fiction, fantastic.
We
as
have
well as
such a broad
Scott.
range of books
It's
coming
amazing.
through on the website.
It seriously is amazing. Get over there,
Go
people. You
Aussies.
will find yourself a book for sure.
Yes. Yes. But now on to your amazing interview with the marvellous Emma and Esme.
Yes.
So fun.
Let's go. Welcome, book lovers. I am absolutely delighted to say that I have two authors with me tonight, Emma Gerts and Esme Stevenson, all on my very own. So welcome, Emma
Hi.
and Esme.
Hello. Lovely to be here. Thank you for having us.
You are most welcome. And of course, you're not really, Emma and Esme, you really are together Alexis Roberts,
Yes.
author
that is
of
us.
author of Revelation, which is book one in the Second Coming trilogy. So that's, so you got 1, 2, and 3. Book one, Second Coming trilogy. So 1, 2, 3, got all the numbers covered. It is a thrilling urban fantasy debut. So fantastic. And I've read it and it was pretty fantastic. I must admit, I loved
you.
it.
Thank you. That's lovely.
So before we get too far along, I'm here on the very chilly Wurundjeri Woiwurrung country in Macedon Ranges. Emma, whose country are you on tonight?
I'm on the lands of the Ngunnawal people tonight.
Which is beautiful, up in the capital of Australia, as most
Yes.
international people don't realise. And Esme, where are you tonight?
I'm actually in a little valley that is shared by the Wiradjuri, Gundungurra, and occasionally the Dorok people.
Fantastic. So up in New South Wales near the Blue Mountains, isn't it? Which is beautiful. Yeah. Not far from us, we're on a sort of a combined area. There's the Woiwurrung, the Tuggeranong, and the Jajawarrung around the Macedon Ranges, and there's
We're all
Hanging
there.
Rock, and there's lots
Yeah.
of meeting places, and it was
Yes.
it was a beautiful place. So it is lovely, and we're learning to get our colonial tongues around.
Yes.
Lots more.
It's one of those
First
things I
Nations
read
language.
it far more often than I actually say.
Yes. We are getting
I can
there,
spell
so.
it, can't say it.
Which is good. It's a start. It is a start. So here we are on our various countries. It's a cold night, but we're talking books and writing. And not only that, but you guys have a podcast, which we'll get into later. So let's start with the blurb for Revelation. So Mary learned 2 lessons very early in life. 1, other people couldn't see monsters the way she did. And 2, the monsters didn't like being seen. Mary has struggled with the gift of sight her whole life, caught between 2 worlds and never knowing how they fit together. When the people of Brooklyn start mysteriously going missing, she knows that the monsters have something to do with it. Ithuriel is still stinging with the shame of his fall from grace when he learns that more and more denizens of hell are being summoned to Brooklyn. Fallen he may be, he will stop at nothing to keep the demons from taking over the city. Belial gave up heaven a long time ago. All he wanted was to live amongst the humans in peace. But now he finds himself caught up in a dangerous plan that will shift the balance of the world like never before. In a world of angels and demons where nothing is as it seems, this thrilling urban fantasy debut will have you second-guessing everything. Hope is crushed, alliances are cast aside, and betrayal cuts through the heart as the Second Coming trilogy begins. There you go. Has excellent all the tropes. Anyone who's urban fantasy is going, yes, bring it on, rub the hands together. This is good. So if you're looking for LGBTQIA plus themes, if you're looking for angels, demons, male romance, slow burn, asexual, morally grey, who doesn't love a morally grey character, then this is for you. So I'm going to read your bio. Alexis Roberts is, as I've mentioned, the pen name for Emma Gerts and Esme Stevenson, two friends who have been writing together for decades. They co-host a podcast, What We Wrote, where they read and discuss their terrible teen writing and how they came from their cringy roots to publishing their debut novel. And having grown up in the Blue Mountains, they met in high school and have been friends ever since. And when not writing, Emma is an academic librarian and Esme is a vet nurse. So there you go.
It's us.
It's been a long time since high school, and it took a little while to get this book out in the world.
Oh, that's one way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. It went through a few iterations throughout its life before we finally decided, no, this is it. It's time.
Okay.
I mean, with some good advice in the background
middle.
telling us it wasn't ready.
Yes. And you listened, which is even better. You didn't go, we'll put it out anyway, but you've taken your time. So let's go right back to the beginning of Revelation, the very kernel of when the story began. Tell me about that.
The very, very first time we wrote The Second Coming, which it was The Second Coming then, not Revelation, because it was only one book, was actually in high school. We were about 16 or 17. I can't remember how old exactly.
I think we were 17. It was
17
later
by
than
this
we
time.
think it was.
Yeah. We wish we were 16. We were probably 17 when we wrote it. And we were actually studying The Second Coming by William Yeats in English. And we thought, hey, that's cool. Let's write a whole book about it, essentially.
So I actually remember very specifically.
Oh, do you?
We had I remember. I don't remember much about the previous two, which we have been reading on the podcast, but I do remember when we finished All's Fair, we were in study room and we were trying to decide what we were going to write next. And we had both kind of latched onto this idea of like, there's kind of this cyclical nature of, good versus evil, and that, 2,000 years after the birth of Christ, that there would be a second coming, but this time it would be the other son. And we kind of thought, that's a really cool idea.
Sounds fun. Yeah.
That would be very apocalyptic and bad. What if we write a book where that's what happens? So I do remember that very clearly, actually.
Very good. And it started in high school, started as a different title. And tell us a little bit, give me the highlights of its decades-long journey.
Well, we kind of, after we wrote the original draft, which we churned out in a handful of weeks.
Yeah, it wasn't long.
Like 4 weeks or something.
Which isn't a good
Power
sign.
writers.
Yeah.
No, not a good sign.
Handwriting as well.
And handwriting as well.
Yeah.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah, it was bad. So after that, we were like, this is amazing. We got one of our very long-suffering friends to type it up for us. We actually embarrassingly sent it out to a bunch of publishers.
Surprisingly, no bites.
No responses on that one.
How could they?
Shocking.
I know. Zero editing was done.
And then we kind of just moved on to other things. We put it down. We walked away from it for many, many years. And then
we wrote several others in the meantime.
Several other really bad books in the meantime. And then we kind of were like looking for our next project, and we were kind of like, what if we had another go at The Second Coming? Because we both still thought that the idea was really sound, and that the concept was really interesting, and we liked the characters that we'd come up with. And so we had basically just started from scratch. We basically threw everything in the bin except the concept and the two main characters, Mary and Ithuriel at that point. Just the two of them at that point.
Just the two of them.
And we rewrote it. It turned out massive. It was, I can't remember, it was like nearly 300,000 words.
Yes, 280,000 words,
Yeah.
which is also not good.
Also not good for a debut.
Tricky for a
urban
debut.
fantasy
Yes,
novel.
yes.
Which we actually had a discussion. So we went to the it was Sydney Writers Festival, but it was in Katoomba. It was like one of the little offshoot things. And we went to a panel. I can't remember what the panel was about, but on that panel was Kit from the Manuscript Appraisal Agency in the Blue Mountains. And so we thought she just seemed really lovely. So we cornered her after the panel and had a chat to her about it, and she was the one that told us, was like, that's too long.
It's too long.
You need to either like murder it and cut it, or split it into a trilogy. And then we were like, trilogy.
And so
is...
Revelation
Yes.
was born, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, we spent several years after that rewriting large chunks of Revelation. Obviously, we had to give it an ending. So there was
give it its own arc.
its
rather
own
than just-
arc.
Yes.
You know, its own kind of climax where, you know, things happened so that there was a sort of an exciting end. And yeah, then we got it appraised twice by Kit at the Manuscript Appraisal Agency over the years. Did a lot of rewrites. We did initially do a bit of querying in traditional publishing, which meant rewriting the first 3 chapters like 8 bajillion times. And eventually, this was around the time the pandemic hit, and we kind of just quit at that point.
Yeah.
It was a watershed for many people, for many things. Yeah.
I especially struggled because I'm a veterinary nurse. I was very much front line. So while everyone else's worlds got quieter, mine got infinitely louder. So I very much stopped pulling my weight during that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we kind of didn't touch it for what, 4
Nearly
years?
5. Yeah, 4 years, nearly 5.
4
think
years,
it was.
I think.
Yeah. It was a long time.
And then during that time, well, what year did we start the podcast? 2023?
Oh, 2023 actually. So it wasn't actually that long.
Yeah. So we kind of were like, you know what, screw this, let's self-publish. And that's when we kind of started the podcast to, you know, try and create an audience for the book. And then over the next couple of years, we sort of knuckled down a bit more on getting Revelation into shipshape, basically, so that it was in a fit state to publish. And then, earlier this year in February, we released it.
Yeah. There it is, out in the world.
There it is.
What did the final word count finish up as?
90, around 90, I think was it?
Yeah.
No,
Or a bit less
I think
than
it's closer
that.
to 80. I think it was 85-ish.
Yeah, right.
Which is
Well,
kind of perfect for an urban fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We were
and-
pretty happy with that.
Yeah, for sure. Good. And you've got the second one you mentioned is on your website's coming out next year. Could you hurry up, please? That would be great.
Working on it.
Working on it.
Yeah,
and then
working hard.
working hard. And then the third book, do you already know the ending? So are the 3 books part of that original 300K? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So that's there,
Yes.
and you did split it into 3, and you've developed each section and tightened up the first one. So far, so good. Okay.
So
So
kind
that's
of
good.
the biggest challenge, I think, was Anarchy, which is book 2.
Right.
Because the very natural stopping point we found for Revelation and the very natural starting point for book 3 were actually quite close together.
Right.
So we had to do a lot of padding to sort
Yeah.
of fill out Anarchy and give it its own arc.
Right.
So the third book is all pretty much as it was all those years ago when we first started. So we know where it's going. We have sort of key plot points that we know are going to be in there. But we're going to have to do
There's going to be a lot of rewrites.
There's
Yeah.
going to be a lot of
rewrites,
rewrites on that
yeah.
one. Yeah.
It sounds as though you got some experience there, though. So you've gone almost from being pantsers, just pouring the story out, into having now to plot
Yes.
to make the story fit.
Yes. Which isn't our natural way of being. We're very much pantsers by nature.
Yes.
So I don't know if, like, the way we write at the moment, and correct me if I'm wrong, Emma, I feel like the way we have developed our writing is we pants the first version and just let it go where it goes.
Yep.
And then look at it at the end and go, well, that's a bit shit. Pardon my language. And we just take what's good and then rewrite it and make it better from there.
Yes.
Tightens it up, take out all the fluff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, kill a few darlings along the way.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
really interested in how you co-write. So, you know, as I mentioned, we've talked to Elise and Jane, and we've talked to Amy Kaufman, who does lots of co-writing, and, you know, it's slightly different with everybody. Tell me, how does the Esme writing machine work? And has it changed since high school? I mean, obviously you're now writing on a computer as opposed to longhand, or you're still longhanding it?
No, definitely on a computer now.
Yeah, okay.
We're not masochists. It definitely has changed. So when we first started, it was basically like, the best way I can describe it is like a yes and, which is basically one person had the book, they wrote the chapter, next person read that chapter and then wrote a next one. And then just from there on, just went from there. I think we probably had a few like vague discussions about what should happen, but nothing was really like planned out in any fashion. It was like, this is where we want to get to, and then we just kind of fumble away there. It's changed now that we essentially take ownership, I guess you could say, of characters. So, you know, for example, Mary is my character, Ethereal is Emma's character. And so all of Mary's chapters, obviously, I write. Ethereal's chapters, Emma writes. But also, if, you know, my character shows up in her chapter, I'm still supplying all of Mary's actions and her dialogue and all of that sort of stuff as well. So it's very, like, we really maintain a strong sense of character that way. And I believe it also kind of just gives our interactions, the character dialogue, just that little bit more authenticity and a little bit more dynamic, because, you know, Emma doesn't actually know what Mary is going to say at any given time.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and every single character in the book belong, even side characters. So like, you know, obviously the main three, we write the chapters from their point of view and everything like that. But every demon who appears on the page, every human, every one of Mary's co-workers is one or the other of us.
Very good.
It just means that everybody we take ownership of everybody who appears in the book, basically. And that way, as I said, the conversations are very natural, because it's just a matter of like, we're literally talking to each other in a sense, but in the guise of our characters.
Yeah, fantastic. I think that's why there's such a depth to even your side characters, and you get a sense that they're known, loved, and they're just, you know, the world is rich and it's layered, which is fantastic, given that you've never been to Brooklyn.
No.
So why choose Brooklyn? Why not go Sydney or, you know,
because we
Lithgow
were 16.
Oh, my lordy wordy. Okay, so go on.
So,
because you were 16. Yeah.
Actually,
Hit
what
me
happened?
with the Brooklyn thing.
It's a bad story. It's a terrible story.
Okay.
It's very embarrassing. So the reason
Especially
actually that
now.
yes, the reason that we decided to set the story in Brooklyn is that there is.
Oh, you're going to tell the real story.
Oh, the real story. It's
The real
going
story.
out. You know,
Come on,
it's going.
this is
Everybody's going to
breaking
hear it.
news.
Okay, breaking news. Go ahead. Right.
You guys have got the scoop on this. Nobody knows this except us. There is actually a suburb in New York called Bethlehem, and we thought that it was so clever that obviously, you know, the first time around when Jesus was born, it was in Bethlehem, and we were like, well, obviously this time it should also be in Bethlehem, but what if it's the other one? And that was really it.
That was it.
That was it.
It has a logic. It has a logic, particularly as a 16-year-old. Yeah. So how did you make your, and as I mentioned, you know, the world building, and it's gritty and it's dark and it's, you know, grungy. So how did you, and look, you could had made the whole thing up and I wouldn't know because I haven't been to New York either, but how did you make it feel so real?
A lot of Google Maps. Yep. Thank God for Street View is all I can say. So, what I would often do, like if Bilal is, walking somewhere, I would actually have a map up of Brooklyn and have the addresses of where they want to go. And I would actually, on Street View, walk the whole way, just so that I could, see what was around essentially and get a bit of a vibe for the place.
Ez is at a bit of a disadvantage here because both of her characters, because Ez writes Mary and Belial, are very, very familiar with New York, whereas Ethereal is super new and he doesn't
He can be a bit
know
dumb
the
about
names
it.
of the streets. He doesn't know the names of the suburbs. So he's very he doesn't, in his chapters, you won't see street names.
Yep.
You won't really often see even suburb names. He's like, yeah, I went to this place because I was going to this bar, and that's how he navigates around the city, and none of those bars actually exist. So for me it was really easy. I would sometimes, if I knew kind of the area that he was going to, I would, like as said, pull up Google Street View and have a look and see what the vibe was like. Or if I was looking for, a certain character, I'm like, okay, well, this character would live in kind of a bougie area. So I would go and Google, areas of New York that are more expensive and try and find an area that fit the aesthetic of what I wanted to convey. But
interestingly, a lot of the places that Mary visits are real. So her apartment, her apartment I think is real, although I don't know if I ever actually mentioned it by name. And also the place where she works, there is actually a little Italian place that butts onto Prospect Park there as well.
When are you planning to go there to research, which is of course tax deductible? Can I just mention that as writers? Go ahead.
Look, not anytime soon, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
Not with everything that's going on right
change
now.
of administration before we do that.
Yeah. Google Street View is fine for me.
Google Street View. All right. There, as well as that research, are there any secrets hidden in your writing? Because we, as you know, we sent out some questions beforehand, and you've got a lot of Easter eggs for yourselves. What's that about?
Well, as we said, this book has been through many, many iterations, and that means character names have changed 1,000 times, plot details have changed 1,000 times. There's a lot of little nods to that first very silly draft that we wrote in there, whether they be, particularly Mary's best friend Jen has had so many
iterations. Oh my gosh. So many
I don't know
names.
why we just couldn't get this character right.
Yeah.
So lots of side characters are carrying previous Jen names. And yeah, just things like that. There's a lot of stuff that harks back to earlier versions of the story, or that we've put in because they're little nods to things that we had to get rid of, or even stuff that we did outside of the actual story. So we got a bit overexcited when we finished the first big rewrite of The Second Coming, and we basically just wrote a whole bunch of extra stuff that happened after the events of the book. And so some of those little nods have found their way back into the story just for our own gratification, really.
Well,
We
why
are-
not?
Yeah, we are planning on, we're not sure how we're going to do it yet, but we are planning on reading out the original The Second Coming at some point.
On the podcast,
On the podcast. So people will be able to get some of the nods through that.
Excellent. So let me say that my co-presenter, Laurie Bell, who's one of the many books that she's written, Wildfire, science fiction, but she wrote and knew so much about her side characters that she actually put together a little anthology with little vignettes of the side characters and how they kind of arrived in the main story, and you then get more layers of the book, which is lovely. So yeah, it was an interesting way to do it, but she just loved all the side characters so much she had to put them in, which is good.
Yes,
So that was the
absolutely.
good, the bad and the undecided.
I
Which
will
is lovely.
say,
So,
you do have to be careful with that, because sometimes you end up rewriting the entire book to give them a review chapter.
Yes. Which I believe happened with, now I was saying, I'm reading it, Belial, but that's no, Belial?
Yes, we've always said Belial. I have
Okay.
no idea
Yeah.
if that's correct, but that is how
Okay.
we have always pronounced it.
All right. So, because this has come from a poem, or a huge epic poem, tell me a little bit about rewriting supernatural creatures, because everybody knows angels and demons, and everybody has in their mind what angels and demons look like. But yours are so evocative. Tell me, how did you come up with your angels and demons?
Um, well, from Mary's point of view, because she's the one that actually sees them for the most part.
Yeah, yeah,
Ethereal really just sees people.
yeah.
Um, and interestingly enough, I can't actually remember what it's called, but I can't visualize, so I don't have pictures
Yes.
in my
Okay.
head.
Yes.
So I guess that makes it easy for me because when I think about it, I'm not picturing everyone else's versions of demons.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, I just pulled bits and pieces of various like animals and incorporated them into a humanoid creature.
Mm-hmm.
And then sort of from that imagined how, having tusks would affect their speech pattern, or, how they would sound moving if they had scales and all that sort of stuff, and just sort of build from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So vet science would have helped that a little bit.
Probably, yeah. Maybe that's where it came through.
Aha, secret sauce.
Yeah.
Emma, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, like a lot of the bigger lore we've pulled from various different classic texts. So, Paradise Lost was a big influence, and obviously the original poem, and then just kind of like, bits and pieces that you pick up from pop culture and things like that all kind of go into the soup. Like I've done a lot of the work, I guess, on the angelic side of things. Because Ethereal was there more recently than anyone else, and so like I have kind of built a lot of that stuff, just kind of imagining like, okay, well, I don't know, what would an angel be like when they're in their natural form? What would that experience be like, and how would that be different from their experience becoming immortal, and being in sort of a human body? And then Ez is really good at pulling stuff from Paradise Lost and fleshing out, like, I guess more of the
Yeah, well, so with
like
Paradise
the
Lost,
events, I
yeah,
guess.
with Paradise Lost, like that was a very heavy influence throughout the rewrite. So, as Emma said, like Astereth's demon form was pretty much pulled straight out of Paradise Lost. And technically, even Belial was pulled out of Paradise Lost as well. Originally, he was only supposed to be there for a little bit because he shows up in Paradise Lost as this character who is a bit like, oh, well, we stuffed that up, lads. We probably just need to accept what we did that was bad and just move on. And like he was the sort of the fallen who everyone else was like mad and outrageous, and he was just like, well, we kind of deserve it. And so that's where Belial was born, essentially directly from Paradise Lost.
And became his own character, and we do like him. Oh, I've decided that he's my favourite. All right.
Yes.
Tell me,
He's everyone's
he's
favorite.
everyone's favourite. So, urban fantasy when you're 16 and urban fantasy now. Obviously, you're still reading quite a lot. Yep.
Yeah.
A little bit. How do you think it's changed? How do you think the genre itself has changed in that intervening time?
Oh, I mean, I think it's interesting because I think it's a bit of an underrated genre in general. There's not as much urban fantasy these days as you would think. It had a bit of a heyday in the 2010s. Obviously, Cassandra Clare's Mortal Instrument series was both a big influence on us as writers of the genre, but also spawned a million spin-offs, as any successful piece of media does. And that kind of really blew it up for a while there, and then it all kind of fizzled out. And like, at least in my experience, like a lot of current urban fantasy tends to be kind of crime focused. Like it's
Ben
things
Aronovich.
like Ben Aronovich
Yeah.
Oh, I
and the
love Ben
Dresden
Aronovich.
Files and
Yeah.
stuff like that, where it's very like supernatural policing almost.
Yes, yes.
Which is great. There's
yeah.
nothing
Which
wrong
is
with
great.
that.
It's a
I
great
love it.
genre.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's kind of different from what we're doing.
Yeah.
And what we were kind of informed by, which was more, it was very big in the 2010s. I mean, supernatural was obviously huge, and it's kind of along those lines as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see the lads, the Winchester lads. All right. But no, I like that we've got a female person with the site. It almost harks back to the Celtic. All right, let's leave the story a little bit because we don't have too many spoilers. People, go and read it yourself, and you can find it on the fantasy page, or we'll tell you where the author's websites are. I want to ask you a little bit about your writing and publishing journey now. Traditional publisher decided, yep, not the go. So we're on the self-publishing route. What are the key steps? If you're a brand new writer, you've got a story and you've gone, you know what, I can't wait for traditional publishers anymore. I'll put it out myself. Where do you go? Where do you find the best advice? And obviously the Sydney Writers Festival was good, and you had the assistant lady. Yep.
I think an editor is a good starting place. I think
absolutely.
that's is a step that's often missed. And I think when we say editor as well, not necessarily just like a copy edit or a line edit, we mean like a proper developmental edit. Actually get someone to look at the manuscript as a whole and, check your character development, check your themes, check your pacing, all of that. Like, actually make sure you've got a decent product, because I think the problem with self-publishing is also its merit. Like, it is easy, it is accessible for everyone, which is great, but on the flip side, you are also competing with a lot out there, and you really do need to set yourself apart in order to get ahead. And I think a really good round of editing does that for the most part.
Yeah, I think editing definitely, like a lot of self-published books I've read could have just used another couple of rounds. And the other thing, obviously, like the struggle, the pits of self-publishing is marketing, right?
Yeah.
So if you are really good at social media, you will be fine. If, like us, you find social media a bit of a struggle, it may be worth, if you have the funds, to do a social media course or hire a social media person who can give you some tips to get started. We're very lucky in that one of our close friends is so good at social media. So she's given us a lot of hints and tips about like what we should be doing and how to capture an audience. And like, she's really into book talk as well. So she's really good at kind of being like, look at what these people did. This really worked for me. This, this made me want to read the book. So, try and do something similar for that. And she even went through when she read the book on her Kindle and like highlighted like quotes and things that she was like, this is the good stuff. Yeah.
This was the one that gave us the 3-star review too.
Yes.
It was.
So she's redeemed herself.
Yeah.
It's all right. Gives you something to aim for with book 2.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, the marketing is the hardest part, I think. The writing the book that's the fun part, right? But you've got to get it out there. And if you aren't naturally engaged with social media, or you aren't kind of tapped into that pulse, then it can be really, really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And I think building on that as well, paying attention to how your book looks. Obviously, it's hard because obviously with your self-publishing, it's self-funded, so you do have to pay for it. We're lucky in that we could split everything by half. But still, like, hiring a professional for your cover art and hiring a professional for your typesetting and all of that sort of stuff is all just ways to set you apart from the crowd, essentially. And I think that makes a huge difference as well, if you can.
So choose where you're going to spend your slim funds, but do it in places where it's going to make the biggest difference. Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay. And perhaps start a podcast.
Yes.
It's going okay for
It's
us.
going
going
great for
okay.
us. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I did have a listen to a couple of episodes, and as I mentioned before we began, there was a lot of laughter going on. It's a podcast. As you were talking about your cringy early days and some of the writing, we're so serious as 16-year-olds when we're writing this. Yes.
Oh, we thought we were
So
child
serious.
prodigies.
We sure did.
About to be discovered. Yes. Yeah. So tell people about your podcast.
So we sort of touched on it earlier, but the reason we sort of started the podcast was because we had chosen to go down the self-publishing route. And in order to really get anywhere, you kind of need to have a base, like readership, essentially. You need to have your name out there. And as Emma mentioned, we're not that great at social media. So we thought we needed to do something else. And the podcast, I had sort of been floating around with the idea for a while, purely because I loved the podcast called My Dad Wrote a Porno. I don't know if most people have heard of it, which is where basically Jamie reads out his dad's erotica.
Really bad
it's
story.
so bad.
So bad.
But, it's also brilliant and very entertaining because it's so bad. And I was like, well, it's not erotica, but it's pretty bad. So, I sort of posited it to Emma, and she took about a year to convince. And then
I was very skeptical. I'll be so honest. I was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We aren't doing this. This is going to be so bad. We're going to be so awkward. We're not going to be entertaining. Nobody wants to listen to us. I was very doubtful, but
Yeah.
I was wrong.
And nearly 3 years later, we're still going strong, and we're only on the second book. So we've got a lot of content to come.
Which is fantastic. Yeah. So every second Saturday, I think, is the go?
Yes, Sunday.
Sunday. Every second Sunday.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. So lots of lovely material there.
Yes.
Yeah, lovely's a word for it.
Look, I mean, I think it's one of those things where as writers, like we do it because we love it. And I think sometimes if you take yourself too seriously, it can rob a little bit of that joy.
Yeah.
And so, everyone starts somewhere. Anyone who has probably written something at least almost as bad as what we have. And so I think sometimes shining a light on that and just being like, yeah, look, it was bad. We can laugh at it now, at least we can recognize it, and we've moved on from that. And I think, there's a lot to learn in that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and I mean, a lot of people will ask us things like, oh, how do you get better? How do you learn how to write good characters? How do you get your readers to feel emotion? How do you do this? How do you do that? And, part of what we really wanted to do with the podcast is to show that, like, the gap between what you want to achieve and what you're currently writing shows that you're learning, right? Because when we wrote these stories originally, we thought they were amazing. But then by the time we had, the first book, Living to Die, by the time we'd finished that, or not finished it as it was, and moved on to the next one, abandoned it. We'd already started to recognize the problems from that book, and we're rectifying them in the next book. And then I'm hoping, obviously we haven't finished All's Fair yet, but I'm hoping as we move on to the next story, you'll see us starting to rectify some of those mistakes as well. So we just wanted to show that, like, even if you feel like you're looking at your writing and going, oh, it's not good enough, if you just keep writing and you just keep practicing and working at it, like, eventually you'll look back at what you wrote years ago and be like, oh my God, I've improved so much since then because that was really bad.
Which is reassuring. And I think it's also important for people not to wait till it's perfect to get the next, get your first reasonable draft out here. And, Revelation is far above reasonable, and just put it out there and let people read it and get some feedback and listen, and do it again, do it better.
Yes.
Beautiful. All right. So Anarchy comes out when? When are you hoping?
I'd say we're hoping about mid next year.
Right.
It's just gone off for its first big edit. like the full developmental edit. So it depends on how much they tell us to fix.
Yep. Fair enough.
If they come back and say, this is amazing,
then it
might
won't
even
be
make
that
early next year.
Yeah. I doubt that's the case, but hey.
There you go. All right. And there's a third one. Is there any other little book tickling you individually in the background? Are you writing anything on your own, or is everything about Alexis Roberts?
Yeah, no, we don't really write on our own.
I don't think either of us know how to write on our own anymore.
Very good. All right. Now I have to go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, we do always have other projects. Like we've got obviously the Second Coming project, but then we also have like a Just for Fun project that we write pretty much every night. And I think that will probably end up being our next big project once the Second Coming's finished.
At the moment, we're very enamored of it. So
Yes.
as things stand, we're
Flavour
kind
of the
of-
month. Yep.
Yeah.
Now, why Alexis Roberts? How did that come about?
fun story, actually.
Okay.
So we're both horse nerds. So we both love horses, and our sort of horses that we had at the time were related. So mine is Lexi, Emma is Bob. And so essentially we just lengthened their names. So we've got Alexis from Lexi and Roberts from Bob.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. That is really lovely. All right. Final words for readers. Why should readers pick up Revelation?
It's fun. We never set out to write Shakespeare. It's not a highly literary classic. We wanted to write something that was the kind of book that we really love reading, which is one that makes you grin and giggle and kick your feet and, can't wait to read what's next. And so that's kind of what we hope to write. And that's kind of what we think we've put out. It's a book that is just a fun, easy, exciting read that'll hopefully have you hanging on tenterhooks waiting for the next one.
Yes, thank you. And Esme, where's the best place to find out more about yourselves or the book? Besides Australian Book Lovers, of course, on the fantasy page. Yes.
Of course. So we do have our own sort of website and social media. So all of our social medias are through the podcast. So basically, you can just search What We Wrote podcast and we'll show up. And then our website is also kind of conjoined. So you can either go to whatwewrotepodcast.com or alexisrobertsauthor.com and you'll find your way there.
Fantastic. All right. So Emma Gerts and Esme Stevenson, aka Alexis Roberts, authors of Revelation, The Second Coming, Book One, The Second Coming Trilogy, Book One. Yes, got it all out together. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you so
us.
much for having us.
You're welcome. Now, can I ask you to say read more Aussie books, which is our sign-off line. So when we say remember to read more Aussie books. Perfect.
Love it.
So coordinated.
It took me a second to catch on to what was happening.
It's all right. We got it. We got it through. Thank you and bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you to Emma and Esme, aka Alexis Roberts, and I do like the story of Lexi.
I love how
and
they
Bob.
got their name. I love it. It was such a good idea.
It's good. Writing since I was 16. I like why they put the book in Brooklyn. Pantsers to plotters. Take your time. It's really
And
good.
what I loved them talking about was they really went through that process, and it was great for new writers and debut authors to be listening to, where just going through that process of here's the book we wrote, we love it, going to someone who's got a little bit more of an eye for what's out there and what's marketable, coming back and finding, nope, it's too long, got to change it, and them actually going back and putting in the hard yards and doing the full rewrite and then splitting it into 3 from that rewrite and then still working. So a great a great story to share with new writers who think, oh yeah, I've got this, I've got this down. And it's like it actually is very beneficial to chat to someone about your genre word counts that have expectations with your readers, and then pitching to specific readers and what they'd be looking for. And it was just, I love them chatting and really breaking that down. That was really great to listen to.
It was. Yeah. And
Yeah.
they couldn't imagine not writing together. So anything they write in the future has to be co-authored.
And I love the fact that, and I think Amy Kaufman mentioned it as well, where they focus on a particular character. So each
Yes.
person writes to that character, which obviously allows you to keep voice for the character really intact and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. But it's such a fascinating way of writing, to
Yeah.
write only a chapter and then here you go, you do the next bit.
You do, yeah. That's tricky. I know when Darren and I, we wrote a book together and we started with our characters apart and then they met. And so then we were just writing, it was kind of a chapter each, I suppose, but we did separate chapters till they got together. And it was interesting when they did get together, then finding the right voice, making sure the voice stayed true to the original character. It's very tricky. So
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you for the shout out too. Don't think I didn't miss that. I did not miss that. That was very nice. I actually wondered if you were going to go down Boss from Hell line because that's also got demons in it. So
It has
like,
indeed.
oh, okay. Which is fantastic. And also a shout out to the Manuscript Appraisal Agency and Kit. Kit is amazing.
Yeah.
But always with your appraisals, take what you get back with a grain of salt. If you don't agree with something, if there's something in the book that you really need this particular idea or concept or what have you to work, then work on that. Just because an appraiser comes back and says, no, it's not working, you need to fix it. You can look at that advice in its whole and in its entirety. So it's be careful obviously with any appraisals you get back, but it's also really good to actually talk to someone who kind of knows what they're looking for. And you know, I've gone through Kit and had appraisals done through them. So not being paid, letting you know, not being paid to mention that, but I do like the Manuscript Appraisal Agency.
Okay.
So there we go.
Good to know. Good to know. All right. Well, that's probably enough for this evening because we're both getting a little weary. It's been a big couple of weeks. You've got more editing to do. So we probably need a quote, Laurie.
Yes. So I thought since I'm in editing mode at the moment, I thought I'd go with a Ray Bradbury. Your intuition knows what to write, so get out of the way. I thought that fit with our pantsers,
really
with
good.
Esme and Emma.
Yes.
You know what? I agree.
Yeah. No, I love that. I do like Ray Bradbury stuff. It's really good. All right. I'm going to give you one from Mark Twain. Writing is easy. All you have to do is cross out the wrong words.
I feel like I've been doing that non-stop for the past 2 weeks.
But look, isn't it funny how, like, I was editing a chapter of my own this morning and you think, oh, look, I've written the same 3 words, like 2 lines apart.
Yes.
And how many times have I read this and done that? It's like,
Hilted apparently is my word of the month because it's everywhere. So I've been going through and changing all the tilteds to something else. Then I was surprised by that one. I'm like, tilted.
Yeah, I had a few favourites that I have to talk myself out of. A lot of my favourites were sensory. So people feel a lot in my books, and they see a lot, or they look, or and then so I had to do lots of synonyms for looked, or sometimes just say it was there. Don't look at it. Just it's already there.
And a lot of the time, those saw, see, you can cut them completely, and they're not. So it's interesting. I want to say my edit has gone to cut words. No, I've written more material and I've gone up like 20 pages. Hopefully it's okay.
But then is it bigger than the Tiger Eye? No, what was the last one?
Serpent's Kiss. I think it's going to be about the same as Serpent's Kiss.
Excellent. Yes.
Size-wise, yes. Well, it is a final. There's a lot of threads.
Yeah, you've got to tie them all off. Yeah, don't pull any more. Just keep weaving the ends. Weave them in.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So leaving you with those 2 fabulous editing quotes. If, of course, you want to put your book on Australian Book Lovers, we would be delighted to put it up there. And more and more people are looking through, and I see the stats on the looks on the website, and just it's all going so well. People are coming to see what Australian Book Lovers and discovering us all over again. So please, authors, it's as free. It really is. We're mad, I know, but we really want to celebrate and support Aussie authors. So jump on, put your book there.
Many Aussie books.
Absolutely, as we can. Do that. And if you're a reader and you want a chance to get a free book, then, this month, the newsletter's out, and I have to decide between some lovely people who've entered where am I going to send these books, which is beautiful. So next episode I'll tell you what next month's books are, and another 4, and I've got a big stack. I don't know if you can see. No.
Well, bear with us, authors.
There it is. Look at that
there
stack.
it is. Oh my gosh.
Yes, there's a huge stack of books there, ready to give away over the next couple of months. So, jump on, and all we need to remind you now is to read more Aussie books. Bye for now.
Let's meet again when magic happens.